and we're moving ever so much closer to our moving date. We are, let me think, 1 week away from closing on the house here in Utah, and then 2 weeks away from closing on the house in Ohio. And a week and a half, we will be on the road, headed to Ohio for that closing and to take possession of the property, and with our first big load. In our second load, I'm on the fence. I had all these plans of a way that we were going to move the chickens out there, and it would have worked. I know it would have worked. I was going to get either a camper to go on the back of the truck or a tall shell and create a mobile chicken coop. But it's proving almost impossible now to find a camper shell. There's somebody out there that's buying them up to refurbish them and sell them for a profit, which means that I can't get one for my project that I can afford, and I'm not paying thousands of dollars for that. So we went to the alternative of getting the shell, which we could have gotten for a few $100s, and turning the back of the truck into a mobile chicken coop. But then I've done a bit of a rethink, because in that scenario, we won't have a chicken coop to secure them in when we get to the new property. And that poses some problems with predators. We were considering using the high tunnel, but it's not predator proof by far, and I know that there are predators there because we had a raccoon living in between the floorboards in the house until it was trapped. It was living in there for probably a month, and so we got a guy named Trapper Bob, I think, that trapped it. But that tells me that there are raccoons that are living comfortably around the property. So I've got to make sure they're secure. And then I gave it some thought about, is it selfish of me to want to take them with me when this is the only home they've known? They're comfortable here, they're secure here. Their habitat is predator proof. And some of the ones that I was considering taking are kind of old, and that's kind of why I wanted to take them, because I'm very attached to them, and I think they're attached to me. They act like they are. But over the winter, they get used to me not spending much time with them because it's just too cold. So I think that taking them as the first consideration, and the fact that the new owners want the chickens and know how to take care of chickens, I'm on the fence about how to handle it at this point. I get going now that the car's warmed up. We're probably going to bring the 2 bantams. They're small, they're easy, and they aren't all that bonded with the bigger chickens. And Sakura used to be very bonded to Tika. She would crawl up underneath her and, be like a little baby chick. But after Tika died, none of the other chickens were willing to let Sakura snuggle up underneath them. They just didn't know what she was thinking. And so she hasn't had that since then. The new Tika isn't interested in that either. And so she doesn't have any of the big chickens that she feels particularly bonded with. And Tsubaki couldn't care less. I found them yesterday, as I often seem to be finding them these days. The 2 of them alone in the coop, partly because it's really cold out and they're just staying warm because they're just little. But they just kind of hang together, and that tells me that they would be okay being separated from those particular chickens. And it would be so much easier to transport just those two little ones. We could have them in the cab of the truck. I've also considered using one of the big crates that I have and maybe just bringing a couple of the laying hens. Not so much so that we'll have eggs, because we can live without eggs for a couple of weeks, because they're probably going to go off laying because of the trauma and the stress of the move. And it's not a guarantee that they'll stop laying, but they probably will. And Tish isn't laying all that much. She's one of the ones that I really wanted to bring with me. But that's selfish again of me, because she's more bonded to the other chickens than she is to me. Yes, she does like me, and she likes to hang out with me, but she'll probably do the same thing with the new owner. I don't know, but it's just as likely that that's what she'll do. And is it fair to her to make her spend 3 days in the back of a truck? Probably not. If it was just a one-day trip, it would be an easy decision to make. But 3 days, with the potential for more, if we run into bad weather, we may be not able to progress forward for a day until the storms move out, because this is storm season. So what I've decided to do at this point, and yes, I am still on the fence about this decision and could change my mind at a moment's notice, and leaving myself room to change my mind, we're going to bring the 2 bantams. We'll have them set up in the garage in a secure large crate. It's super large. It's meant to be a habitat for small animals. It's got plenty of room for them to move around, roost, not be at all restrained. They're little, so it'll work for them. It wouldn't work for bigger chickens for a long-term solution. So we'll bring them, and I have ordered from Meyer Hatchery and from Murray McMurray's hatchery a new flock of chicks. They are not scheduled to come until the week of July 11th. I've done replacements on most of the breeds that I really like, and I've added some new ones that I've been wanting to get. So we're starting over with a whole new flock, which is exciting on the one hand, because I love baby chicks, but they don't stay babies for very long. But I do love them, and I'll get to actually spend more time with them than I have in the past, because I'm not working. So since I'm not working, I can spend the whole day popping in and out and socializing with them, and really getting to know their personalities and them really feeling comfortable with me. And even though I tried to spend time with this last group of chicks, I didn't have enough time, and so there's only a couple of them that really feel comfortable around me. The rest of them are kind of skittish, and it's not really their breed description to be all that skittish. So it's just because they're not comfortable with a human. So hopefully I can do that. And in the meantime, between when we get there the first week in April and when they arrive in the second week in July, we'll have time to really get the good foundation going on a good chicken coop. The plan is, based on recommendations from Joel Salatin, and if any of you know who he is, you know that he knows his stuff. We're going to do a concrete foundation to prevent any digging and predators from coming up underneath, and it'll be a good mouse preventative. And the concrete foundation is going to have 2 or 3 foot sides. That'll do several things. Also prevent the digging and the chewing predators, the mice, the rats. And I've never had problems with rats here in Utah, but I don't know if there's problems with them where we're going in Ohio. There could be. So we're going to mitigate that. It'll also be a good way to, because they get so much snow and it is a wetter climate than here, it'll help prevent the rotting of the bottom edges of a coop, because it is going to be rebar and stucco for the most part on the outside, and then on the inside we're going to do a good solid interior. Don't know what material we're going to use just yet, but the outside is going to be stucco, and stucco has to go onto some kind of board. So we'll see what we can find that's available that's good and sturdy. I mean, you're not gonna have 100% predator proof anything. So we're gonna need to do several layers of predator proofing. But yeah, we're gonna make the coop match to whatever degree we can the house exterior, so it's not this mismatched looking structure on the property. It'll blend nicely. It won't be exactly looking like our house, but with the stucco and the color and the shaping, we're going to do the metal roof that looks like terracotta tiles on the roof, but it's really not. It's metal. Now that's going to match it with the house and make it a little more secure, waterproof. It won't have shingles blowing off in a bad storm, things like that. Then the next layer of predator proofing is we're going to do the hardware wire for an exterior fencing around the base. That's it's going to be far enough away from the exterior of the coop itself so that you won't have rats or whatever climbing up the hardware wire to get to the part of the coop that they could maybe chew through. So it'll have some distance from the coop, but it'll also be sunk by about a foot or more and splayed outward so that it prevents digging like from dogs, because a dog will dig under your fence and get at your chickens. It'll also be somewhat of a snake preventive, because it'll be deep enough that hopefully they won't burrow further down than that. And then beyond that will be an electric fence. Now the interior fence will be the actual run fencing. Like I said, it'll be a distance from the sides and front of the coop to keep out those digging and burrowing predators. And then it'll extend out in the back to create a run for the chickens. And I'm also going to cover it like an aviary to prevent aerial predators, at least as much as we can. And then around that will be the electric fencing to keep the stronger predators out, things like bears. I don't think there's bears there, but that's the degree. Coyotes, foxes, big dogs, things like that won't be able to get to the interior fence. Sort of a little bit like a chicken Fort Knox. And then outside of that will be a slight barrier fence, and that is going to be for our dog, to keep our dog that we're going to be getting from coming in contact with that electric fencing. It's not going to be a full-on predator-proof fence. It's just going to be just a little rope fence, just to put a little distance so that she doesn't accidentally bump into the electric fence. And that'll just be a training fence. Once she's used to the barrier and respects it, then we can take down the rope fence. And we're on a list to get a Great Pyrenees puppy, a female. I don't know when that's going to happen. I'm hoping that it's not too long from when we get the chick. about 8 weeks. So we're talking the middle of September before they're even going to need to be out in their coop. So that gives us plenty of time to do all of this. That's the plan. If I alter my plan to leave the laying hens, I'm going to have to alter my plan for how we're going to house them when we get there. But for now, that's the plan. So it'll be 2 bantams, 2 cats, 1 dog, and whatever we have left to bring from the house when we do our final move. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. It's coming up fast. Hopefully we're ready. Stay tuned. If you're listening, you can hear some things rattling around. I'm taking another load to the thrift store. So that's making a little bit of noise, but I'm still hearing a little rattling from the crate that the cats are going to travel in. And I don't want to put up with a lot of rattling the whole way, and I'm sure that they don't want to. I've taken some electrical tape and I've I've cushioned all of the points where metal bumps into metal where I can. But it sounds like I've got something on this side over here that's still rattling. So I'm going to have to check that, see what that is, and see if I can quiet it down. I've got a sedative, calming medicine, not knockout medicine, to give to cats to help them not be quite so stressed out. They've had their full health checks yesterday, got their shots updated, and I have their health certificates and rabies certificates, so they're good to go. The things that we have to do to make this move. So many details. We're getting it done, a little at a time. It's the elephant story about how do you eat an elephant. You can't eat it in one bite, but bite by bite, one piece at a time, and you can get the thing down. Well, that's kind of where we're at. Is we've eaten most of the elephant now. Just have a little bit left. Today I've got to clean out the chicken coop and get it fresh bedded. Pack up the supplies that I'm going to need. That I'm going to leave supplies with the new owner for the chickens, but I am going to take some things with me so that I have things on hand that I need for the chicks. I want to leave them a nice clean chicken coop, as clean as a chicken coop can get. And it seems like it's going to be an okay day. Today is 44 degrees right now, and it's 9:30 in the morning. So I'm looking for a 50 some odd degree day today so that I don't freeze while I'm out there, but I also don't want to be all sweaty. So hopefully it's a perfect day. And got to get all the bedding out, take out the nesting boxes, refresh the boxes with, well, they're actually buckets. Refresh the nesting buckets with fresh bedding and nesting box herbs. And then gotta hose down the interior of the coop and the front storage area, get all the chicken dust out that accumulates through the winter. Let it dry, and then sprinkle down some First Saturday lime, and then put in fresh wood chips and put the nesting buckets back in. And reorganize the front storage area.